Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest as we break down some of the trending topics. We're going to talk free agency. We're going to talk the draft. We're going to get a hot take. It's going to be fun. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, and today we're joined by Tumi Oredein. You've seen him all over our TikTok recently. He's helping me out a ton over there. You're seeing his videos go to Twitter. You've seen his own personal TikToks probably, branching out to the other platforms as well. Tumi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jason. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here. I know this is kind of the doldrums of the season, but for us, this is where you make your moves. This is where you learn the most. This is where the obsessed people like us tap in and learn some stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You know, football is a 365-day sport now. You know, we've got stuff coming out all the time. I will say yesterday or today, as we're recording this, was kind of a slow news day, so nothing too much new coming at you guys today. But we're going to get Tumi's takes on some Marvin Harrison Jr. action, on some 102, 103 in the NFL draft action, maybe your thoughts on Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, as well as your thoughts on free agency and a rookie. So it's going to be good. And, you know, everyone, you're going to enjoy this show. So, Tumi, why don't we go ahead and start off with, as mentioned, the trending topics. And we'll just start with Marvin Harrison Jr. Do you care that we're not getting any workout metrics from him?
I care not at all. We know exactly what this prospect is, and I'm glad he came out and said yesterday that there were multiple teams he talked to that said he didn't have to do any testing. I think it was up to 9 teams, Cardinals being one of them. We know who he is. I'm a Colts fan, so I know who he is. I've been wishing and hoping against hope that we were going to get him, and that's just not going to happen. But I saw you yesterday say, just don't overthink it. Like, take Marvin Harrison. He is the number one receiver. He's the number one receiver in like a rookie dynasty. Like, stop trying to make Malik Neighbors more. I mean, Malik Neighbors is great. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy, and I don't care if he didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Just don't overthink it at all. So then I will ask you to think.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to pick him? Because it's kind of going around. We're seeing him all different mocks, people trading up for him, people passing on him. Where's your head at right now?
So my head, and it kind of, I mean, you have to almost think about the quarterback situation too a little bit. I don't know if I expect Minnesota or any other team to jump up to 4. And because of that, I think it's going quarterback, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. Now, I don't know who's going to be through 1 through 3. Maybe there's some shifting there. But to jump up to 4 to get the potentially 4th best quarterback, that's a significant investment. And if you think about the teams who could do it, it's probably going to be Minnesota. I don't know. I think it just seems like a perfect fit. It's one of those drafts where that's like the perfect fit for him. And also from a fantasy standpoint, all the opportunity in the world coming his way. I just think it's a good fit with Kyler.
Yeah, that's definitely a dream landing spot. I think the only way that gets kind of spoiled would be if the Patriots decide to go the wide receiver route instead of quarterback. That's what I want them to do. I think that would just be exciting. Yeah. But I think everything is kind of pointing them to going quarterback and him landing with Arizona, especially with the report that the Cardinals were one of the teams that told him, like, no, we don't care.
Like,
if you're doing
like he's top 4. Like, if he goes outside the top 4, that would really surprise me.
Yeah, it would be a shock, and I'm just excited to see it. And again, guys, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a stud no matter where he goes. Who cares that we don't have his workout metrics? Go ahead and draft him. Yep. So I guess you said that it's quarterback. Which one do you think Commanders go for? They're on the clock first, essentially.
So it's so interesting. There's so many things that make you want to say it's going to be Drake May, but I personally think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. Now, if you think about like a running quarterback who doesn't have an injury history, thin-framed, takes really reckless shots, like we've seen Jaden Daniels get smoked before. But honestly, I've heard a lot of people in Washington say that that's a concern and they reminds them of RG3. Couldn't be more of a difference, Jaden Daniels versus RG3, from just an elite pocket passer. His running is obviously it's there. It's a big part of his game, but it is not like a crutch like a lot of people want to make it seem. If he could stay healthy, I've been all over the place with the quarterbacks this offseason. I thought Drake May was clearly the 2. after really continuing to look at more and more tape, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and to me, there's almost a pretty big gap after those two guys for me. So I do feel like the Commanders are going to get the second best guy, get Jaden Daniels, who kind of fits with the mold of like a Marcus Mariota, who's the backup. And they just had like 20 vets, like on pretty like low deals, but they got a lot of leadership. They got a lot of people to surround Jaden Daniels. I feel like that's just a perfect fit with a significantly improving defense on the other side of the ball there.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there too, in terms of at least me thinking that Jaden Daniels is a pretty solid gap away from Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
You don't win a Heisman for no reason. You don't get your wide receivers to have those kinds of numbers for absolutely no reason. I know it took some time, but once it all came together, he was just so electric, such a good playmaker. And I think any team is going to be excited to have him. And I think he fits really well in a Cliff Kingsbury offense. We saw what he kind of did with Kyler Murray. Granted, the arguments there is it's probably just Kyler Murray being a playmaker. But still, it's all working, and it's similar.
He's not a bad playmaker himself,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that would go well. And then so I assume that leads Drake May to the Patriots, Mayo or Robert Kraft. You've got Rod Mayo, and then you've got Drake May.
Yeah, you just got the whole Mayo situation there. They're probably going to have a sponsorship soon. Like Drake May, I do think he's the third best QB. I've seen a lot of people saying he should be outside the top 10, all that stuff. I'm not buying into that. I do see the concerns. Like I really do see accuracy concerns, some decision-making concerns, pocket presence concerns. Like those are all real things, but the talent is there. The upside is there. His production is there. This is one of the older quarterback drafts we've had in a long time. There's so many like fifth-year seniors. He's at least one of the younger guys in it. I do think it would be a smart move for the Patriots to take Drake May at 3, but I mean, you did say it. Like, I think there's a big gap between Jaden Daniels and Drake May. If they went Marvin Harrison Jr., it would not be a bad pick at all. Like, I actually think if you got Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first, and maybe one of the Bo Nix's, Penix slips a little bit, and you trade back up into the end of the first round, get one of those guys. I think that's not a bad combo at all.
That's what I think. That's what they should do. Like, just being completely honest, I think that is the simplest path to a franchise, because we saw Jacoby Brissett in his limited sample size last year absolutely slinging it to Terry McLaurin. He could start for a few games. He still has it. We've seen him bounce from team to team, starting with the New England Patriots. So I think that would be really fun. I think it makes a lot of sense from a Patriots standpoint, but from a fantasy football standpoint, I do want Marvin Harrison Jr. on Arizona. I do think that's definitely a lot more points going into it. So I want to move on to another quarterback debate that is flying all over the place. And I'm really surprised that a quarterback, Russell Wilson, in the span of 2 weeks has gone from being dust, completely bad, not a good quarterback anymore, to now somehow being a better quarterback than Justin Fields, easily the starter, no matter who you ask. And I'm curious where you're at on this conversation. I think it's a very interesting just thing going on, this Justin Fields versus Russell Wilson. You can answer it in multiple ways, but I'm just curious where your head's at right now.
So I think that I'm so clouded by the value of the deal with Russell Wilson. I'm really struggling to move off of that. Because I mean, I actually looked it up. There's like 3 long snappers who signed this offseason who are going to be making more than Russell Wilson from the Steelers this year.
The Steelers punter makes more money than Russell Wilson.
Yes. Like it's like the amount of the players who are making more than Russell Wilson is a hilarious list. But I'm going to put that aside because that value is hard for me to put aside because this is not the question. I think the Steelers are actually just going to start Russell Wilson. They seem to just be like one of those teams who, no matter what, if they want to do something, they're just going to do it, regardless of what the actual competition looks like. So let me also put that aside. But I also think if Russell Wilson does start, he would have to play egregiously bad to be benched, because I do think that the way that their offense is going to run and the way that their team is designed, he would really have to like do a lot to not purposely lose games, but like really put them in a terrible spot to go to Justin Fields. And I just don't know if he's going to be that bad. So that's why I feel like they're going to just kind of force him to start, even if you don't think he should. And if he starts, he'll probably start the whole season. I think he'll be fine enough. If he played anywhere like he played last year, that's perfectly good enough on the Steelers team to win a few more games than they did last year. Now, comparing him to Justin Fields, I think Fields, there's a ton he has to still work on. And he clearly picked this destination so he could compete. It does seem like there were a couple teams who were in on him. I think the way that the NFL is looking at him, the way that the Steelers were looking at him, they at least in my eyes, I'd like to hear what you think. They made it clear that they think that Russell Wilson is a starter. So I've just kind of been going with that.
Yeah, I think I'm with you that Russell Wilson starts at the beginning of the year, and I also think that he's going to be fine. I think the ultimate question here, and I don't know if we can even answer it, and it's going to be very entertaining to watch unfold, is how much the drive for ticket sales and just the ultimate fan base pushing to see Justin Fields play football will drive the decision-making of the team. Because we saw Arthur Smith last year kind of crack under pressure and go away from Desmond Ridder to Taylor Heineke. I know there were still the turnover issues, but they were winning games and keeping it close. And just everyone was calling for Ridder's head. He ultimately went back on his decision that he was so staunch on going into the season. So I don't know. It's a wishy-washy guy. We just saw them go through multiple quarterbacks the past few seasons. Just couldn't commit to Kenny Pickett, couldn't commit to Trubisky, couldn't commit to Mason Rudolph. He's on the Titans now. So
all those guys are gone.
So I don't know. I think that Russell Wilson starts by the beginning of the year, but I think that ultimately Justin Fields' athleticism, and I'm sure the flashy plays he shows in the practices, as well as his connection with George Pickens from the college days at UGA, even if it was just a small time there, I think that team is just going to want to rally around Justin Fields. Russell Wilson has already had locker room issues. I really just think it's a ticking time bomb. And I honestly think, I know this is a hot take right now, I honestly think that the Steelers have their guy for the next few seasons in Justin Fields. And I think that they did, as you said on TikTok, steal from the rest of the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Like $2.8 million for both of those quarterbacks in year one. I will never get off the fact that especially Minnesota let this happen. You could have gotten – I don't think they could have gotten Justin Fields. They don't trade within the division. But – Russell Wilson was right there for you. He was going to take the lowest amount of money possible to stick it to Denver, and you could have had him for free. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if Russ has a 2-interception game, you may just hear the just chants in the Steelers. But I think less so about Arthur Smith, more so about Tomlin. What's Tomlin going to do? Yeah. But like you said, he's been kind of wishy-washy too, so wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Justin Fields is super exciting to watch.
Yeah. This is the most fun thing. I'll ask you this. If you're in a Superflex league and you had to pick one, it's Dynasty. Who are you rostering?
It's Justin Fields, no question. Not even a question about it.
Okay.
Because there's the upside with Russell Wilson, the time he has left, it's not a question.
Yeah, it's still interesting. I don't know if you've been having this, but I still believe in Justin Fields, as everyone in the Wake and Take knows. I really want it to happen, so I'm just going to keep betting on it to happen. Yeah. And he is still really hard to acquire. No one really wants to sell low on Justin Fields. I mean, I know it's a very, very sunken asset and it's hard to move on from him. But I thought, dangling some starting quarterbacks their way might work, but it's not happening. Have you had any of that experience? No.
I don't have Justin in any of those dynasty leagues, but I mean, I've had him on a ton of keeper leagues, and I could see that. For those who have Justin on their team, they're probably believers in Justin, and that's hard. People who believe in Justin really believe in Justin, and so it's really hard to move off him, even if you see a good offer. Because like you said, who knows if he's going to be starting more than half the games this year, and then you're going to have just given him away for some rando starter X who has one more year to play in the league.
Gardner Minshew for Justin Fields. Let's see.
That's a tough one, man. That's borderline disrespectful.
I need to see it, chat. Everyone watching after the chat, if you could, tweet me at JFootballman. You see it on the screen right here. I want to see some Justin Fields trades since this news. I'm curious how low he's gone for. Being completely honest, please. I would be very entertained. So those are the trending topics. I'm sure there's others out there, but I think those are the big ones right now. So we'll go ahead and move on to the other just generally trending topic overall, and that's just free agency. So I'm curious if you could give me your thoughts on some of just your favorite free agency signings from the past few weeks.
Sure. It's fantasy related, but it's obviously not fantasy players. I really love what the Jets just did with their offensive line. Less so about Mike Williams. I think that's a great addition. And I actually hate that for Garrett Wilson. But offensive line wise, getting Tyron Smith, if he could stay healthy, geez. Number 4 PFF rated tackle. You got Simpson from Baltimore, Moses from Baltimore. I'm still a big fan of Elijah Vera Tucker and Tippmann coming into his second year. I expect him to be a lot better. I love this offseason, I think Breece is one of the biggest winners. And actually, I'm trying to hold myself back from saying this, but I believe it. I think Breece could be the number one player in fantasy this year. I think he could be the MVP. I think he could be better than CMC. I just think that everything is setting up for him to go crazy. And that offensive line was such a big hurdle. That's what I'm a huge fan of his offseason.
I mean, you weren't supposed to give the hot take already.
That wasn't even my hot take, so we'll see how you feel about that later.
I love it though. I on Trade Gods, my other show with Player Profiler, we did Dynasty Values, one of our first episodes of the season, and I mean, I called Breece Hall at RB3 a value. Like I just he's really, really good on an offense with a quarterback and Aaron Rodgers coming back from an Achilles injury, who already had a tendency to dump it off to his pass catching running backs. Gonna do it even more coming off the injury. You mentioned the upgraded offensive line, and now there's an actual wide receiver core. Like it's not just Garrett Wilson now. Mike Williams will at least open up the field, regardless of his health concerns and everything else that people hate about Mike Williams in terms of fantasy. Should be good for regular football, and I like it. I am curious. At the beginning, you talked about your thoughts on Mike Williams coming to Garrett Wilson. This is a recent news, so why don't you shed some light on your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, Mike Williams, he signed a deal with the Jets, and it seems like all their deals are like really short term too. But I'm a big Garrett Wilson guy. I've been wanting Garrett Wilson wide receiver 1 to happen for so long, and I think it's just me realizing it's never going to happen. Like he's never going to have a situation where Aaron Rodgers is healthy and he's the sole number 1 guy. Because also it's like bad general management to just leave Garrett Wilson as the only one on your team. I do think that what he does is so different from Mike Williams that he's still going to be fine. But for me, in like a redraft league, I was definitely taking him in the first round. I'm probably just kicking him to the second now with that news, but I'm not kicking him to like the third or fourth or anything.
Yeah,
I just think the top end devouring every single target in the offense, that upside is gone, but I do think like touchdown production is still going to go up with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to get the target quality, is going to be significantly better. Even if Tyrod Taylor, for some reason, has to start a couple games, it's still better than whatever the Jets were parading out there. So he's still really, really good. Just that top end, to me, if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, no Mike Williams, and we knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be playing a full season of football, he could easily be the wide receiver 1. But because of the Mike Williams thing and because Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what we're going to get on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis with him. He's probably a second-round pick.
Yeah, I think you do have to at least move him back a little bit. I mean, he's losing at least some volume and definitely some touchdowns.
Yep.
So what's another free agency signing that's kind of caught your eye?
So they're so chalky. Kirk Cousins. I mean, and less so for him, but it's just the Drake London thing. You can't. Yeah, you talk about target quality. Like Jay Jettas on Player Profiler, I think he had the 12th best target quality in the league last year, and that was mixed in with some Nick Mullins in there. Like Drake London had 35th, and that almost feels a little high for what I was watching last year from a target quality standpoint. Like Drake London in this offense, being in a McVay style system, being that Jay Jettas for Kirk Cousins. Like we haven't seen him in this type of profile, and I'm so excited because he's another one of those guys that he is so skilled and talented. Has just been given such a bum opportunity to show it. So I love the move for Jake London.
I do have a question because I'm with you 100% on Drake London getting a boost, but I'm also feeling like Kyle Pitts should get a boost here. I know he's gotten a small one, but I've seen Drake London bounce up rounds and rounds in underdog drafts and in dynasty just rankings in general, whereas Kyle Pitts has kind of only bumped up a couple. What are your thoughts on that?
Amazing value. Like we saw when TJ Hawkinson came from Detroit to Minnesota, his targets doubled with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He'll distribute the ball as needed. And Kyle Pitts can do so much in this offense. He is one of my favorite values in the drafts this year. And especially the way that he wins, he is one of those tight ends who he really wins down the field a lot. And you have an accurate quarterback who does a good job with those types of plays. Like I absolutely love it for him. And honestly, I'm just kind of want to talk about it too much. I just want to get him at my value. And not shit up the news too much. I'm like, all right, we're going to just talk about Drake. Nobody talk about Kyle Pitts because he's secretly he's like my tight end 4 right now. Like I'm very high on him this year.
I mean, he's literally, and I've said this a lot, but it's hard to believe he's been in the league 3 seasons. He's younger than Dalton Kincaid. He's younger than Trey McBride. And I think he's only like 3 months older than Sam Laporta. So he's still super, super young with insane athleticism, and now finally gets the quarterback upgrade and offensive upgrade, and now everyone's off him. I don't really get
it. I think it's just like those people who got him first year and just got burned 2 years in a row, and you have to be able to separate yourself from that. Like just objectively looking at it, like you said, like it's I don't know, like unless he's hurt, like things are going to go well for him this year.
Yeah, I mean he has more 1,000-yard seasons than Drake London does. Let's move on to the final free agent. Give me one more.
Another chalky one, but I do like Derrick Henry. I like the move. I like the money they paid. They didn't really like break the bank for him. And I'm not one of those people who thinks that Derrick Henry is going to have another like 1,200-yard season. And he's definitely lost a step. I mean, he's gotten 1 million carries. Like that's definitely going to happen. But I feel like we're en route for like a really high touchdown year. Like Lamar Jackson, when they're within the 5, he does not run for a lot of touchdowns. That is the area of like formerly like the Gus Edwards, like the running backs usually at the top of the league, top 3 in red zone scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a plussed up Jamal Williams year from 2 years ago, where he's bordering on like 16 touchdowns. Now he may get like 900 something yards rushing and maybe not a ton of catches, but he may just kill it in touchdowns. And I think that would probably, I'm assuming this will be the first year a Ravens running back rush for more yards than Lamar Jackson. But just because of that fact, Lamar Jackson's still going to eat into your production. So him going for 1,200 yards, I just don't think that's going to be possible. But him getting like potentially 17, 16 touchdowns, I think that's really possible.
Yeah, I think I am like taking chances on Derrick Henry. And I've got a question to ask first, or after this thought. I guess my only concern is that Derrick Henry might not get the volume he needs. Like historically, he's kind of been a guy that needs to get at least 25 touches to really get rolling against a defense. And I just don't know if he can get there. And that's my only concern. He'll obviously be able to get there some games, but I am curious on how he's going to be from a week-to-week standpoint.
I think it's
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that's a very fair point. Like I could see a lot of 50-yard 2 touchdown games or 50-yard 1 touchdown games, stuff like that.
Which, hey, that's not bad, right?
Yeah.
It's not bad. So I and this is something I'm struggling with on one of my dynasty rosters. I have King Henry. And, I even thought with the Baltimore landing spot, he would kind of be easy to sell, but not a lot of people are really biting on him. It's hard to get, what I feel is a fair value. Like, I still think he's going to give me some good production this year. He's been durable. So I'm curious, should I just, and to the audience, should we just let King Henry die on the roster? Like, should you do that? And then what would you even be looking for?
I could see that because I feel like I've just hyped up Derrick Henry so much. I have him on no rosters intentionally. Like I have him on absolutely not one roster. I've been concerned about his age for a while. I just think like at the right value, he's a great play this year at the right value if he could stay healthy. But even if you think about like redraft, I'm not taking him before like the 4th round. No. So I don't love him that much. Like I think he is a player where he is going to be impossible to sell based on how the year went. Even though he rushed for like 1,200 yards, it doesn't feel like it, and he was splitting so much with Spears. So you may just have to let him die on the roster.
I think I will. I will ride the King Henry to the sunset.
Yep.
So we'll move on to rookie talk. And maybe this could blow up Derrick Henry's value. Maybe if a running back goes there. But I give me a flag plant. Just give me a rookie flag plant. Who's a guy that's going too late in rookie drafts?
So I'm not going to talk about this player. I really like Xavier Worthy. And there's actually some of very similar things to the player who I'm going to use though. I know we're all looking for the next Puka. Like where are we going to get the next Puka from? That 5th round pick who just turns into a stud. And I don't think this guy is that. But man, I really like Ricky Pearsall.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Ricky Pearsall. He is, to say nasty is almost not appropriate enough for the stuff he does to defensive backs on the field. Like he is such a clean route runner. Just in and out of his breaks, it just is just disgusting. Like it's just disgusting versus man, zone, down and distance. He's just killing it at all times. He makes so many amazing, spectacular catches just as the norm Like, he has all of that in his profile. He clearly has the speed. He's a surprisingly good blocker. Like, he's not, I mean, he's kind of a thin frame guy, but he eats up space really quick to get to a defender and really sticks to them. Like, there's a ton of touchdowns you'll see Florida running where he's just connected to his defender all the way down the field. The speed is really helpful, but he's just, the thing that's kind of sucks with him is he is kind of thin. He'll get adjusted by defensive backs down the field a little bit. He has a limited catch radius too. So I think sometimes some of that leads to the spectacular catches because he just kind of has short arms. He's just not a big guy. So, I mean, those are some of the limitations, but I do think he is one of those guys who, if you have an accurate quarterback, day one, he could contribute. And the place to me that seems like the perfect spot, especially since they lost Tyler Boyd, would be Cincinnati. He feels like he would be a perfect fit for Joe Burrow and actually would contribute day one.
I like that landing spot a lot. Ricky Pearsall is definitely someone that I'm going to call landing spot dependent. Before I get out over my skis on him, I do want to see where he gets drafted. Just because, as you mentioned, I do think it's going to take an accurate quarterback. And probably a little bit of the right situation. But I mean, he was one of the few players at the Senior Bowl to not finish it. And generally, when you leave the Senior Bowl early, that means that you've heard good things from scouts and your agent that you don't have to stay much longer, which means you've impressed the NFL. Yeah. And we're hearing buzz about Ricky Pearsall really from a ton of different sources and from people in the space just falling in love with him. So I think that's a good call. I just personally, I want to see where he goes. I got to see where he goes.
I hear that's the thing with him. Is like at the Senior Bowl, it was so interesting because you were there. Like he was like dominating defensive backs, and it's just something that even though he's never had a 1,000-yard season at Florida, like he just wasn't almost given the opportunity to do that on a down and down out basis, just based on the way that offense ran. So I almost feel like he continued to just go under the radar. But if he's a heavy throwing offense with an accurate quarterback, he could light it up. But like you said, if he goes and it's like a depth piece. On like if he goes to Philly, it's like okay, I mean, okay, but I mean, like I need him to go to an accurate thrower.
Yeah. So good call, good free agency picks, Tumi. Great episode so far. And to make it even better, we close on a high note here. Give me your 2024 hot take. Let's hear the fire. Okay. This is live.
Yeah. So. We all remember Lamar Jackson, his rookie year. He got to the playoffs, but it wasn't super spectacular. He truly, I hate when people say he's just a running back, but at first year, he kind of was just a running back. Like he was barely throwing the ball, very inaccurate, and he made it to the playoffs, but it wasn't pretty. Then the next year went ballistic. MVP, like just going bonkers. I think Anthony Richardson could be the MVP of the NFL next year. I think it could happen, and I will explain it. All right. So I do think like he learned a lot from his first year where he did not finish many games. He actually only finished one healthy. And so I do think he learned a lot from that year. He said as much. He said he's going to still play with the same intensity, but just be a lot smarter at the end of his plays. Him and Gardner Minshew were like really, really close friends, and he learned a ton just sitting under his wing. And now he's going to have Joe Flacco backing him up. Now, speaking of Joe Flacco, we saw what he was ice cold. Like Joey Flacco was crushing it like at the end of the season. The Colts are making moves like they are trying to make the playoffs this year. Schedule is not super difficult. Like a lot of their hardest games come at home this year. I mean, they got the Bills at home, Miami at home, Pittsburgh at home. We'll see what the Bears are. All those guys are at home. And on the road, I mean, we got the Jets, Patriots, Denver, Giants, Vikings with whoever at quarterback. There's an opportunity for this team to get like 12 wins. Again, also, one of the top 3 rated PFF offensive lines last year. We all remember that offensive line when Matt Ryan was the quarterback, and it was egregiously awful. Same guys, same 5 guys, got significantly better this year because they were able to gel, and another offseason of them being able to gel. With one quarterback who can run like crazy, who's actually has surprisingly good pocket presence, who they re-signed Pittman. He has a full offseason with JT. They got Josh Downs. I think this is one of those teams who was primed to take a Brock Bowers. If you do all that with Shea Steichen and his elite offensive skill set, MVP of the NFL, not just fantasy, NFL.
I love it. I mean, I've been trying to think of a reason to not be so high on Anthony Richardson. I still haven't thought of a reason not to be high on Anthony Richardson. So I appreciate you making me even more of an Anthony Richardson fan. I'm all in next season. Yep. Great take, Tumi. I mean, just everything you want from a fantasy quarterback in Anthony Richardson, genuinely. And I'm very excited to see hopefully a healthy season next year. And I hope they do add a weapon. I hope for my Jelani Woods bags, it's not Brock Bowers and it's like a Brian Thomas or something. But
and imagine imagine Jelani high pointing the ball and Brock Bowers running through the middle of a defense, just steamrolling safeties. Like that's perfect. That is perfect.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Great take, man. I want to send the audience to you. So why don't you just go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, all your platforms, and all the stuff you're working on.
Sure. So I'm working with Player Profiler. I'm on every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Player Profiler Today, where we're going over the news of the day. We have a spot every single day. So make sure you guys tap into YouTube, Player Profiler News, and also obviously tap in to Player Profiler on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm also available on TikTok. So I do a lot of work, obviously, with Player Profiler on TikTok. And I have my own site, FF Strategist, on TikTok, and you could basically find me there on all the socials. So Twitter, X, FF Strategist, YouTube, Instagram. I'm doing a lot more of that because we'll see what happens with TikTok soon. But yeah, those are the places you can find me. And Jason, I really, really appreciate you having me on, man. You are doing the Lord's work, grinding the football takes on a daily basis in the doldrums of the offseason, man. We really appreciate it.
Oh, and I appreciate you for hopping on. I appreciate you, the audience, for tuning in all of those days. And hey, as Tumi just said, Wicked Take's not on the weekend. So you go find Player Profiler today, Saturday, Sunday. You'll see Tumi on Sundays. Go follow that YouTube channel, Player Profiler News. We saw Bradley Stalder a few weeks ago. He's on. You've seen Matt Babich before. You've, of course, seen Jack. And, of course, you've seen Ahan. So there's great stuff going on over there. Make sure you go check them out, especially for the weekend episodes when you don't see this guy. So anyway, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you all have a fantastic Friday, a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to Player Profiler. And I'll see you all Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Player Profiler, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a good one. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.